This just into CNN. I am joined on the phone by a man who is sitting right next to the sick passenger on that flight from Brussels to Newark that was quarantined for a short period of time. Joining me on the phone, Rich Burchett. Rich, thank you for being here. First off, tell me, when did you first notice that this man was not feeling well, and what did he tell authorities?
We had about an hour left in the flight, and he nudged me and said something and kind of incoherently. I didn't really understand him, so I asked him to repeat it, and he asked for help. Asked me to call for a flight attendant. So I paged the flight attendant, and at this time he had his head between his hands and kind of bent over in the seat and had his face covered with like a towel. When the flight attendant came, he said that his eyes felt like they were floating and they were hurting really bad, and he'd never felt that before. The flight attendant asked, what would you like me to do? You know, is there something I can get for you, or would you like me to see if there's a medical personnel on board? And he immediately said, yes, do that.
And can you tell me, Rich?
About an hour and a half left in the flight. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you tell me, Rich, I know that at some point he did talk to authorities, they took his passport, et cetera. What did he tell the authorities in terms of where he was originally traveling from?
So once they came back to question him, another flight attendant came back. The two came together, and he described his symptoms again, and the second flight attendant said, where are you originating from? And he said, Liberia.
He did say he was from Liberia. Tell me a bit about what happened when you landed, because we know that the CDC did get involved immediately. We saw these photos of officials coming on the plane. What were they wearing? What kind of protective gear were they wearing? And what did they tell you and all the other passengers to do?
So originally, while we were waiting for the CDC to come on board, the flight attendants had come back and said that we were in row 27, and the flight attendant said rows 25 through 28 would need to stay on the plane, on that side of the plane anyway, and everyone else would be able to deplane. And then CDC came on. They were wearing like a protective suit, face shield, and a mask, and rubber gloves, of course. And then they escorted him off the plane. Him and his daughter. He had a young daughter with him. And it wasn't very long. I'm going to give you a guess because I'm not for sure, but it felt like maybe 15 or 20 minutes later, they announced over the PA that everyone would be able to deplane, including the people in rows 25 through 28, and that he was not contagious.
Okay, so they told you could all deplane, you could go home. Did the authorities tell you anything? Obviously, there was heightened awareness about the concern about Ebola in this country. Did they tell you anything about monitoring your symptoms, anything like that? Any indication that he may be infected?
They did not at that time. Several hours later, well, after we got in the airport, I actually have global entry through, so I go right through customs. I was already in baggage maybe 10 minutes after we deplaned, and they came across the loudspeaker and told all officers do not allow anyone from United Airlines Flight 998 to obtain their baggage or to leave. And then we were all, about 35 of us had made it through customs. We were corralled in one area from what I was told. The remaining passengers were corralled upstairs in Newark Airport. And then we waited for hours and hours.
So that's interesting. You waited in the airport, not on the plane. Ultimately, when authorities did let you leave with your baggage, did they say why?
So they did. We did get an announcement from a representative from the CDC that we were held as an abundance of caution. And then previously, we had all been asked to fill out information sheets to give our full contact information, email addresses, permanent addresses, etc. Required us to turn those in, and then gave us an information sheet on the signs and symptoms for Ebola.
Okay. This CNN was told earlier today that this sick passenger, this man, was vomiting on the flight. I know it's not a pleasant thing to talk about, but because of the way that this disease is transferred, did you see him vomit, or do you believe that happened in the bathroom where he was alone?
I did not see it or have any reason to know that he did.
Okay.
Once they found out he was from Liberia, they actually put a mask on him and his daughter, and they escorted him somewhere behind me. They got him up out of the seat and actually took him somewhere towards the back of the plane, but I have no idea where. It was actually behind me.